Hi guys, how's it going? It is me, Jack here, and welcome to season 2 of the Football Manager 2023 save with Birmingham City. It's been a long-awaited first game. It's been a tough transfer window, but I'm delighted to welcome you to the first game of the Premier League season as we face on West Ham United away at the London Stadium. Before we get into any transfer action, before we get into this game, what I want to do is I wanted to show you the Youth Academy because it was something that I totally forgot to show you back in April, a few episodes ago, when the intake came through. And we have got some really good young players that have came through. This was the best person, Sigurd Marino Hjaltalin, an inverted winger with 5-star potential and a good transfer value at the minute. He is developing, which is lovely to see. And I don't know whether this guy was already in it, but Frank Tatum, he was definitely already in it because he's a regen. He looks to be developing nicely as a striker. Need that finishing up, but we are training him to improve in that. Samuels was one, a defensive midfielder who has got great value, good potential, and is developing nicely. So we hope he can continue that. And Greg Fleming was the other 5-star potential player that we have at our disposal. I don't really like many of his stats. I'm training him currently to be a Mazzala, which I think he needs to develop his dribbling, his finishing, his first touch. He's got decent off the ball, good passing, but at 5'3", he's got a long way to go before he gets anywhere near our squad plans. But that's just all what I wanted to show you, really. There's another one here, Alvaro Ruiz Rente, who's already at the club, who's still developing. But yeah, nice intake, as I know sometimes you can get pretty horrific intakes. Now, back in the last episode, you might remember we finished the season and we said that the transfer budget, I was already buying players. We brought in Longelo as a signing. Now, there is some news on Longelo. If I just type in his name at the top, he unfortunately is out for quite some time, 2 to 3 months. He broke his ankle in training, which is bitterly disappointing that we lost him because he's a good backup, and he is backup because we have got someone in at the minute. I hope the player that we brought in doesn't get injured, because if he gets injured as well, then we've got a bit of a crisis on our hands. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll click Birmingham and I'll go through the players in the squad. You can see one player straight away. Howard Bellis is a defender that we've brought in. He's vice captain already due to his good leadership traits. Brought him in for £6.25 million as a central defender, 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. This is a player that is a guaranteed baller in Football Manager, someone who's just going to develop and develop. And at £6.25 million, he had a good loan spell at Burnley. I think he is ready to take the step up to be a Premier League starter for us this year. Scott Hogan stays. Unfortunately, with Scott Hogan, he wants to leave at the end of his contract. I actually had a bit of a financial crisis in the start of the window. I brought in a few players and we had quite a small squad, so we had to find a way to try and free up some money, and I was going to look to sell him due to him having that value of around £8 million, but he didn't want that. Instead, he wants to see out his time here on 38.5 grand a week. I don't blame him, because that's an astronomical amount of money due to the inflation in his wages, because we're promoted to the Premier League, and he'll be leaving on a free. So it's a couple of £1 million loss, but I don't think anyone would really touch him due to the high wages. Hugo stays on as backup. Jordan James stays. We've got Longelo. Onyeka is one of the new players that we brought in. He's someone who's quite all-rounder. I think he's an all-rounder. He's very good. He's going to be playing the ball-winning role for us. He's really good in that position, just a lack of marking. But for quite a cheap £1.7 million, he's a consistent player, so it surprises me that at Brentford he didn't do very well. Brentford still in the Premier League, played a few games for them, didn't have the best spell, but I really like him, and I think that as a defensive midfielder could also play box to box if we have some injury problems, which may happen this year. I think he is a really outstanding pick. So from Onyeka, then we've still got Roberts. Luca Romero is a player, an FM player you might remember. He's been a regen now for a few years, and he grows and develops to be really good. And I'm using this loan spell as a bit of a test for him. If he has a few games that he plays and he gets a few goals and assists, I'll try and keep him permanently. because he played a few games in Lazio starting and didn't do anything. But I think for the cheap finances that it cost me to get him, I think it's a risk that I'm willing to take because he's guaranteed to develop and hopefully can do something for us this season. John Ruddy will be the starting goalkeeper this year. This is the main signing that I already got done before the season ended last year. Andreas Schelderup, I think is how you say his name. Oh my goodness me, look at this man's stats. He is a wonder kid on 25 grand a week, picked up for a small £7.5 million, and it's just a great overall investment. We're highly likely to be relegated this year. It's probably one of my biggest FM challenges ever to keep this side up. And if we do get relegated, there is a clause of 23.5 million, which he locked in, which I'm not surprised. And if he goes, we do get 24 million for him. But oh my goodness me, I'm going to be fighting this entire save to keep this man on my books because at 19, he is insane. He could even play as an advanced forward, and I think I might even test him there as well. He isn't really a striker for his heading ability and his jumping reach and lacks a bit of stamina, but everywhere else, this guy is just nutty. Sunjic comes back from his loan spell from Hertha Berlin. He will be staying and playing a part this season. I like him. He did not very well at Hertha Berlin, but he's a player that I think under my management I could get something out of for this season. Another centre-back signing, Anel Ahmedhodzic, is a player that I mentioned when we played Sheffield United in the last game of the last episode. I said that him and Sander Berg, two great players, and when I was a Premier League club trying to approach Sheffield United, he's really interested in us. He's a ball-playing defender, and with us losing Bielik, the tactic that we played last season, Ruddy used to pass the ball to Bielik in the midfield. And I want to try it this year where we pass the ball straight to Anel because he's got that good passing, got the good vision that Bielik had from last year. And again, another cheap signing, £8.5 million. Sheffield United have made a bit of money on him. A good player. For again, if we do go down, he's going to stay in the Championship and he's going to help us rebuild. So I'm really happy with him, and he's a really, really strong defender in the game. This is another mammoth player that we've signed. You might be looking at a few of these names saying, goodness me, no wonder you struggled for finances this year, because I really did. But Thiago Almada, what a football player this man is. He's going to be playing, actually surprisingly, as a winger for us this year. The 12 pace is something that does concern me a little bit with that. But if so, then we might have to change his position up a little bit. But wow, he is a really, really good player. Didn't do amazing at Atlanta United, but I think in the Premier League for £15 million, it's a big signing. It's someone that we can make money on, I think, but he also can deliver for us. 5'7", great attributes, good decision making, beautiful flair, good passer of the ball, got a bit of technique about him. I'm really excited to use Thiago Almada in this side. With that, we were able to keep hold of Job Bellingham, but we also signed Sam Byram. He's going to be our new right back for this year. Picked up on a free transfer. Again, I struggle for finances. You can see I've only got £2 million left. I'm trying to bring in one more player, which I'll speak about. And Sam was a player that did quite well for Norwich last season. Only 10 games. But I have to bring in a right back and I have to start someone. Colin's going to be back up this year. Sam Byram is the man that I have decided to bring in. He's got good stats. I'm just hoping that we can keep him injury free for the season and he can really help us as we look to try and survive. Chong stays. There's only one defender that we've sold, but before we move on to him, we'll move on to the left back player that we brought in, and it's another free transfer. It was again during the time where we lacked that money because of the signings we made. Frank Fabra, who I don't think is an awfully bad signing. The only thing that worries me about him is the lack of marking ability that he has, and it is a key attribute. 7 marking isn't very good. He can also play at left wing back, but I think, do you know what? I'm happy with bringing him in. He does well anywhere he goes. He's been around the blocks. He's only signed for 2 years, and I think for one season, he's got some really good attributes that you want from a left wing back. He's quick. He's got good off the ball. Bit of bad positioning, which we'll try and get better. Good dribbler and crosser. I'm hoping he can make a difference for us this year while Angelo is absent. They're the signings that we made on the other turn of the season. We brought in a striker, Joe Gelhardt, who I'm hoping will be our main striker this year. Again, I keep just regurgitating the same thing. It was a lack of money, the reason we brought him in. But I have a good feeling about Joe Gelhardt. I saw his stats and I saw he was quite cheap on loan. And I think he can be a really, really good striker. He's much better attributes than Scott Hogan, who, as we know, scored a hell of a lot of goals last year in the Championship. Good dribbler, good finisher. He's quite quick, can make good decisions. He's determined, got flair. I think this could be a player who can come in and could really, really make a difference for us this season. He can develop, and I think we've got an optional fee of a massive £23 million for him. But if he could get us 10 goals this season, which I think he could be capable of in a good side when he's got the quality around him of Andreas, Chong, Thiago, this could be a player that could really, really throw up a few surprises for us. And I believe he's the last permanent signing that we've made. He is the last permanent signing that we did make. Of course, we signed Langelo, as I stated. There was one sale that we had to make to facilitate a lot of the business, and it was George Hall. It might be surprising to many that we did decide to sell George, but I got a few offers in, and I got a £12 million offer from Brentford. And I looked at the stats and I compared him with Jordan James, who we play with, and James I thought was a lot better than him last year. So when I got that offer, we were in financial insecurity, really. We were really, really down on the finances. We couldn't bring in many players. We only could get 35% transfer revenue, so we only pocketed £4 million of him. But just for the entire club, this was a sale that was really, really beneficial. And financially, because of the Premier League money, we look a lot better in terms of our expectations throughout the next few years. A healthy transfer budget for next season, which is more than this season's. And the overall balance has come down massively. At one point, before the players like Harley Dean and Troy Deeney left on free contracts, we were in the £35 million in the red, which was disgusting. And I did think that the sale of Hall would be really, really beneficial for us, and it just got us over the line. And because of that, I then requested to the board to get some money, some wages, and some transfer budget. They actually gave me a £5 million extra transfer budget, which has allowed me to sign Onyeka and has allowed me to bring in one more centre back. We're a little bit light at centre back. We only have 3 players: Roberts, who we've kept hold of, we've got Harwood Bellis, and we've got Enel. And I'm looking to bring in one of these 2 players. I think one of Ben Wilmot or John Sutar. I'm having to put a lot of it on the wage on monthly instalments because we've got a lack of current money. But I do think one of these 2 players could be really, really good. I'm edging more towards Wilmot. I know he's got a lack of acceleration, but I think as a backup, I think he could still be really good. The only thing that worries about me is he's fairly susceptible to injuries, and so far hasn't had any injuries of note. But at 23, I think he'd be better than John Sutar, who is still good. But I do think he'd be slightly better than him, and he's only going to be coming in as a backup to the 3 centre backs we've got at the minute. He'd be probably third choice whoever comes in to Bellis and Anel. But yeah, I think this is the team. This is the team that will probably start the first game of the season. Jobby has been injured for the past month, which is why he hasn't. He's sat on the bench at the minute. He'll probably still be the Mazzala, but with Onyeka coming in, Juninho Bakuna could maybe be dropped for Bellingham and we play him Mazzala. We've got a little scope to mess about with. There was one point where we had about 20 players in the squad and I was really, really struggling to bring in players, which is why, as I said, we sold Hall. But we've got 22 people. I'm expecting a team of 23 to go into a Premier League season, which I think is probably the least amount of players you could have. We only used 24 players last season, and this season, we've changed a lot of this team. It is really a big difference. It's a lot different to last year. But I'm quietly confident that we aren't going to be really, really struggling at the bottom this season. We're expected to be at the bottom. I think we're 1,000 to 1. Look at that. We are so far behind the next team above us. So we're expected to be down at the bottom. But I'm quietly confident that, we might have a good campaign. We might go down. But I'm really excited to get this team into it. I'm really excited just to develop this squad and hopefully upset the apple cart this year. Now, here we go then. West Ham United away from home here at the Olympic Stadium. This will be the lineup for the game. John Ruddy will start in goal. I'm going to start Sam Byram. I know I've dropped Bellingham due to the poor match happiness, but I'm going to give Byram a run out. Anel Ahmedzovic, Howard Bellis and Fabra will complete the defence. A completely changed back line by John Ruddy to start the Premier League season. Onyeka in at CDM with Bakuna and Chong in the midfield. Because of the wingers that we've signed, Chong's going to slot back into Mazzala where I originally wanted him to play. And the front three, it's exciting front three of Almada, Schledger and Joe Gelhardt. On the bench, we've got 9 subs, 5 of which can come on this year in the Premier League, which is brilliant. So on the bench, we've got Colin, Robert, Sunjic, Gardner, Bellingham, James, Romero, Hogan and Jordan Hugill. I'm really excited to start the Premier League season with this club. Oh, I'm really excited. Come on, let's go to match. Let's get this game underway. The Premier League season. We've dropped the graphics of the Championship. We're coming for the Premier League now. West Ham, David Moyes' men. I'm going to say, do you know what? The pressure's all on them. Just go out there and do your best and see if you can cause an upset. This is one of the types of games where if we could get a point out of it, it would be brilliant. But it's going to be a lot of games this year where we are going to be expected to lose, and we probably will lose. Look at their team. They've got strong players. Bowen, Benrahma, Skamaka, Declan Rice still there in that midfield. But I look at our players. They might not look like big names now. Give it a few years, and this would be a force to be reckoned with. There's the Premier League table. Manchester United sit bottom of it at the minute. We're in the Europa League positions. It would be brilliant if we could finish there by the end of the season. It's match day. It's West Ham away. Come on the Blues. Half an hour played so far. Nothing has happened in terms of highlights. We haven't really troubled West Ham at all, apart from that first shot that's just fills through there. We've had more possession than them, but it's been quite a quiet game. I'm happy with this so far. I'm happy that we're limiting West Ham United. I'll say, I tell you what, show me something better in the second half. Let's see if we can make a difference and that we can change our fortunes and start having some more shots at goal. But West Ham will try and come out here in the second half and play the game, and the highlight is going to start now. West Ham in possession of it. We get the ball back with Howard Bellis. Just take your time, play the right pass. Onyeka back to John Ruddy. 36-year-old Ruddy, because of the lack of finances, him and Etheridge will be staying at us for one more year. Ruddy's still good though. He's got the Premier League experience. He knows what it takes in the Premier League from Norwich days and Wolves days, in fact. So he's been around the block. Chong puts it through to Almada. Almada can't get it to Fabra. And now because of Fabra's attacking wing-back status, he's right up the top of the pitch. We need to get back. And he has got back. Can he do a good defensive duty there? He hasn't. Bowen's been able to run through, shoot, goes over. And that is a highlight gone. Come on, lads. Come on, lads. Let's see what we can do. The front three haven't had the best games. Nor Schledder, but he got through there and did very well. Looks like Joe Gelhardt suffered a bruised shin. Right, let's take him off. I tell you what, I'm going to keep him on. I'm going to keep Andreas on. I'm going to bring on Chong on the left-hand side to play as a winger on support. Or do I play him there? Almada. We'll try Almada as an inverted winger on support. Actually, no. Let's play him as an inside forward because I want to play Chong as the inverted wing, which I was thinking about doing this year, of course. You remember back to the last episode I said we played Chong there to see what he can do. For some reason, Chong is surplus to requirements. He definitely isn't. If there's a way I can change that, I'll go about doing that. If everyone will attack, he be on, yeah. We'll bring on Bellingham for half an hour. Byram's doing okay, so I'll keep him on for an extra bit. This is, I think, it's a game against his former team. Fabra will keep on as well. Onyeka will keep on. I'll just do that for the minute. Give the players till about the 70th, and then we'll make some more changes. But you can see there, nothing's happening at all in terms of highlights. We'll take off Byram now for Colin. We'll keep Onyeka. Do we take off Almada for Romero? Yeah, let's do it. Andreas isn't having the best of games here. Really is not. Let's play him as a winger on support and just see what he can do. 20 minutes remaining. I take a point. I know in terms of quality and action, you guys haven't seen anything, but a 0-0 draw for me is a really good result. Let's bring on Maxime Colin. No, I was going to bring take off Fabra and put Colin at left back, but we can't do that. Bellingham. I'll tell you what, let's just bring on Scott Hogan for 10 minutes. See if Hogan could do anything for the final few minutes. But come on, lads, let's get a point here. Away against a team that finished 7th last year, by the way. We've had a shot on target. I don't think there's going to be any more highlights. There's not. It's a 0-0 draw to start the season off. I'm happy with that. Defensively, that's a good performance from a complete side that haven't played a single game together of note. John Ruddy got best performer in this match. I'm happy. I'm going to say that's a very satisfying result, lads. It just boosts the overall morale of this team. I'm actually really happy. We have came to London and we've got a point against an experienced Championship side, a side that we would want to be like in the not too distant future. A point on the board, buzzing with that. If you guys have enjoyed this first episode of season 2, like I have, please do hit the like button, comment and subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed already, and I'll see you in a few days' time for the next game of this Premier League season. I'm buzzing. If you're buzzing, smash the like button, and I'll see you for the next episode of this save very soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.